The words of the great Booker T. She didn't just say that. Tell me she didn't just say that. Britt Baker hitting MJF where it hurts the most. The ratings talk. Wait till you hear what Britt Baker says to MJF. It is absolute gold, and I feel it rivals anything that Adam Cole and MJF did in the ring on Wednesday night. We're going to get to that. This is what we call a double dose of amplification today. You guys are going to get twice the podcast. I wanted to do that yesterday, but yesterday's podcast ran over an hour in length. We talked about WWE basically trying to erase the Bella twins with the Cavender twins. I give you guys a timetable, a little bit of a timeline, and I show you how WWE is doing this strategically. That podcast went so long, I wasn't able to get another one up. Contrary to what many may believe, especially new subscribers, this is not a job for BC, or at least it started as a hobby. It will always be such. As you get more successful, ironically, it becomes a job because there's so much more that goes into it. But this is not like a full-time job for BC. I know that may shock you because some of the other content creators you watch, this is just what they do. They're creators, they're podcasters, and that's great for them. I'm not even throwing shade. I just like to do many things. I drink too much coffee to just stay in one lane. But because it will always remain a hobby, there was no way that I could cancel other more significant business to put up another upload yesterday. So I hope you guys understand. But the treat is patience. Patience is always a virtue, man. And you wait a little bit, and now today you're going to get double the dose later on. Probably just a few hours after this podcast enters your subscription feeds, your subscription boxes. A few hours later, you guys should get the second podcast that I'm going to put out, and it's going to be about the Bloodline. And tonight, everything. This is one of the most important nights for the Bloodline. Whether it's the storyline with Sami Zayn, the storyline with Cody Rhodes, or the current implosion of the Bloodline, tonight is one of the biggest nights they're going to have, because if not done correctly, this could ruin the trajectory going forward. If done properly tonight, this could have the wrestling world hanging on its hinges. Everything hinders on tonight and what happens. BC is going to give you his feelings on what should happen tonight. I am going to give you what many are going to look at as a hot take. I may shock you with what I feel should happen tonight. You'll know all about it coming up in that second podcast. But this one is dedicated to Brittany Baker over in AEW, man. Sending that low blow verbally to MJF late last night. Now, let me set this up first and foremost, right? Because this has to have a proper setup so you guys can fully understand why this is such a great smash, diss, rip, tearing of MJF verbally on social. So let me set this up. We have to go back to when CM Punk came to AEW, right? He was going to save AEW. He was going to really move the needle, bring all the numbers. And what happened was, and a lot of people didn't even realize this, they saw a decent number for Dynamite. They knew Punk was on it, and they're like, whoa, Punk is bringing in the numbers. Not so fast. See, BC is a numbers guy. I follow the metrics, statistics. I love ratings. And by the way, I always love when people go, the ratings don't matter, BC. First of all, those are usually people that don't understand the ratings. The ratings absolutely matter. In fact, they matter more than you could ever imagine. They're the only metric we have to determine what is good and what is not good, what is working and what is not working. If that wasn't the case, Tony Khan would not be the first in line checking out the ratings on Thursday mornings, but he is. Advertisers, it's the only way they know how, where, and when to put their products on a certain show. It's the only way networks know how to take off a show from their networks or put more of it on. It's a microcosm of the grander picture. So it's not I don't understand what people don't get. It doesn't matter how many people are watching the NBA game instead, or just watching 24 hours of Netflix every single day, nothing to do with cable, or have completely cord cutted. It doesn't matter. The metric that we have, higher than any other metric to determine what is working and what is not, is the ratings. I don't know why that's so hard to believe. So when people go, well, it's pro wrestling, just enjoy it. Don't worry about the ratings. Well, we're the ones that are not going to be shocked when our favorite wrestling show gets taken off the air or gets a third hour and affects the show negatively, i.e. Monday Night Raw. Or you get another show like Collision when people are already worried about the ratings on Dynamite. But Turner Network says, well, there were certain areas in the numbers that we actually liked. So we're going to double down and see what we can get out of it on Saturday nights. The numbers told them something. That's all in the ratings. Anyway, that's just a little bit of a quick little history lesson for those that say ratings don't matter. And smart individuals like MJF, to bring this back full circle, they understand that wholeheartedly. So MJF knows his worth based on the ratings, right? So let me take you back to CM Punk when he showed up to AEW. CM Punk shows up. Rampage, I believe, was his debut. They pull a 1.2. Then Dynamite, they were well over 1 million for many weeks. And CM Punk was getting all the accolades. But there was just one thing that people were missing, because a lot of people were not actually looking at quarterlies, right? They weren't looking minute by minute, segment by segment. It wasn't CM Punk that was bringing in the highest rated segments. It was actually MJF, Maxwell Jacob Freeman. MJF was actually producing the highest rated segments. CM Punk was getting all the accolades because he's the big WWE name. We get it. But after a while, that becomes an issue, right? Your worth, you're getting paid a fraction probably at that point of what CM Punk is getting, but you're producing a much better result via your appearances. So eventually that tension led to real life between Tony Khan and MJF. Wait a second, I'm worth way more than this. I'm not trying to be just a dick, but this dude's getting all of this money and he's not backing it up. Appearance-wise, he's not moving the needle. My segments are actually rated number one. My promos are being talked about more than any other promo. And what happened is BC started to tell AEW on these podcasts, dude, if you really want Punk to grab the number one spot, it's fairly easy. Put him to the Q1 segment, right? You're already going to have that good lead-in with the Big Bang Theory, and it is Punk, a household name. So Punk will get your highest rated segments. After a while, finally, I'm not saying they're listening, but I do know people in that company do. Salute. Those individuals know who they are. But Tony Khan finally started putting CM Punk in Q1. And then, and only then, did CM Punk start to overtake MJF in the ratings and become the highest rated segment, CM Punk. Only when they got moved to Q1. Before that, MJF was the highest rated seg. And he knew that. He knew his worth, restructured a contract, or at least began the talks of it, had some real animosity with Tony because he knew his worth. So ratings matter to MJF because he knows that he brings them in. Now, I bring that up, right? I want to tell the full story here because it leads into MJF's title reign. Oddly, and it shouldn't be too oddly because the booking has been more odd than anything and just downright bad most times. But since MJF has won the title, the ratings have actually taken a dip as a whole. The show has dipped from their 950,000 top tier niche. And for those of you that are new to the channel, we've narrowed down AEW's niche audience to about 950 as the ceiling, 950 the top of the niche, 850 the bottom of the top, if that makes sense. So 850 to 950. 850 being the low end of the top tier of their niche. 950 being the top tier, and that's kind of where they resided. 950 is where they're at for months. And they started to dip back to the low 900s, then dipped into the 800s, and even the 700s. Now, you can blame playoffs all you want, that's fine. But the problem is when you are losing out on that many viewers every single week, even when the playoffs are not on, it will affect your programming in a massively negative way because people will see that it's a new habit. I can easily miss this show every single week, and over time, they're going to understand that they have no FOMO, no fear of missing out. We see this on Monday Night Raw all the time. AEW is no different. So even when you don't have playoffs, you're going to see yourself getting hurt in the ratings. So that's basically what happened. I think last week, for instance, there was no NBA, correct? And they didn't even hit the top tier 950. They came close, but you're going to end up digging yourself out of a hole at that point because too many weeks have gone by and you slipped back. Ever since MJF has had the title, they dipped into the 800s and even the 700s. So they've been going backwards. The ratings have been tanking massively. And if you look at what MJF has had, many will say, okay, it's been good, I feel. The pillars, BC, right? Jungle Boy getting some airtime. Sammy, you like Sammy Guevara, BC. I do. Jungle Boy, Sammy, Darby. I get it. But if you think that's really going to produce 950, a million viewers, guys, no offense to Darby, Sammy, I really enjoy. I enjoy Jungle Boy's work, but if you put all three of them together, I still don't think they equal a Yokozuna. So neither one of them is going to be larger than life. So you can put all three of them together, and I don't know how many people are truly going to be captivated enough to come back and watch this storyline projection. And let's not act like the storyline was prestigious or anything of real great value. I know that may seem harsh, but I'm telling you guys why the ratings were where they were. It wasn't because of NBA playoffs. It was because this was not intriguing them. Could you have done better with MJF? Could you have used MJF more properly? Of course. We all know that. The ratings show us that. Woo! Education and numbers, man. So MJF knows this. He gets it, and that's why he's been trying new things. He'll go to the... And this is what makes MJF amazing. He can go to the comedy. He can go to the seriousness. He can deck you with some funny promos. He can hit you where it hurts the most. And he can put on damn good wrestling matches. He knows not to be used too much because of overexposure. Leave the people wanting more. He pretty much checks off every single box. He's a smart dude. And what I love about MJF as well is that he still keeps kayfabe alive. If you take a gander at his social media, for instance, he just doesn't step out of character often, if any. If you go to get a contract signing from him, get a little 8x10 signed, he's probably going to flip you off and tell you to fuck off. Even if you're 8 years old, he don't care. That's what makes MJF so special. And if you tell him that he is tanking the ratings, if you tell him that his title reign is a failure, people are actually turning away in droves. That's what's going to hurt MJF the most. It's not going to be that he's not big enough, or he's not good enough, or he's not one of the top 10 wrestlers in AEW, or fucking 20. That's not going to hurt him the most. Tell him that he's not producing. Tell him that other people are drawing better than him. That's where MJF is going to get hurt the most. Brittany Baker knows this. So this past Wednesday, Adam Cole and MJF have a really good segment. Really good segment. And for those that are wondering why BC didn't cover AEW, if you're a newer subscriber, guys, I don't cover shows that don't hit 1 million viewers. I made that rule a long time ago. And occasionally I do break that. I've covered AEW in the past as a bonus podcast. I've covered NXT just recently. Very few and far in between I'll do AEW and NXT. I never do Impact. That's nowhere near 1 million, obviously. But a pro wrestling show, at least stateside, has to at least get 1 million, guys. Because again, this is not a full-time job for BC. And as I get more successful, it does become a job of sorts with how much work goes into it. So I have to see, like, what are the people really enjoying? What are people flocking to? If there's enough people, BC will talk about it. But these shows aren't getting anywhere near 1 million. Or at least not clinching it on a consistent basis. So that's why I don't cover these shows. If you're newer to the channel and you're wondering why, I'm not just going to cover every single wrestling show just because it's a wrestling show. I'm not a geek like that. You may follow other people in the community. They may be like hardcore wrestling geeks. They might be watching every single Japan show, every single fucking local bingo hall show, Impact Wrestling on Thursdays, switch over to Wednesday nights, switch over to Tuesdays, watch the Raws, try to watch all the Darks and the Elevations. I don't know, man. Some of us actually have lives and we have to actually conduct business. But I guess if you're like, 14, 15, 16 and you got the time, maybe that's your jam, cool. But I just can't cover all these shows, man, or it's just not going to happen. But anyway, this segment between MJF and Adam Cole, just phenomenal. It's one of those segments where you sit back, you grab your beverage, hopefully a double shot, amplified Dunkin' Donuts coffee, and you smash it back, and for 10, 15 minutes, you just let them just annihilate each other verbally, right? It's one of those type of deals. MJF is going to hit many low-hanging fruit type digs. He's going to hit you with some jabs about maybe WWE because it is Adam Cole, and we've known that that's what MJF has done in the past. And that's sure enough what he did, even bringing up Vince McMahon, making reference to Keith Lee's manager, which we know is a false report anyway, but fuck it, let's go with it. It's a promo. So it was really, really good. And when the rating came out, it was, according to Brandon Thurston anyway, who says, and I quote, Brandon Thurston, by the way, a really good dude in the community, who at least a good dude in terms of his knowledge of ratings, thankfully, somebody who gets it, and who actually pumps out the ratings pretty quickly when they come out. BC has his own sources, but I always double verify through Thurston instead of nagging my people. Are you sure? I can easily double verify it through Thurston, or sometimes I can't get through to my people, and Thurston will have it within 5 minutes of the number breaking. So Brandon Thurston says, and I quote, the high point for Dynamite last night in the 18 to 49 demo was 8:45 to 9 o'clock with the MJF Adam Cole segment. The high for total viewership was the first quarter hour as usual, benefiting from the Big Bang Theory lead-in, which is exactly what BC said. If you want Punk to be the highest rated segment or anybody, put him in the Q1. And even then, MJF was beating that Q1, by the way, back in the day. So Brandon Thurston puts out that was the highest rated segment, Adam Cole, MJF. Brittany Baker says the following, man, on her social. This is fucking great. You want to hit MJF where it hurts the most? Guys, Brittany Baker says this, and I quote, first of all, she retweets the Brandon Thurston post. So Brandon Thurston puts this out about Cole and MJF. So she totally retweets it with her own caption, and I quote, Adam Cole gonna save MJF's title run, then end it, smooch emoji. Adam Cole is gonna save MJF's title run. What she's telling you is this feud is going to catapult MJF back to the highlight of the ratings, back to the top, back to being the man, and it's because Adam Cole is going to put him on his back to bring him back to the top. That is phenomenal, because Brittany Baker knows, like all of us, anybody that follows numbers, Brittany Baker knows MJF has been backtrack. He's been sliding backwards. Everything he's been in is not captivating the wrestling world. This week, that promo once again recaptured what we first fell in love with MJF's whole persona, character. It was the promos first. The fact that he can wrestle decently, that's a bonus. But pro wrestling is more than just wrestling and putting on 5, 6, 10-star imaginary star anyway, according to Melty Boy's little system. It's more than just putting 10 imaginary star matches together. It's more than bangers. It's about larger-than-life characters, stories that we care about, culminating feuds we want to give you our money for. That's what pro wrestling is all about. That's why Ultimate Warrior will forever be one of the most highlighted, decorated characters of all time. You put him in the ring, when the bell rings, he could barely put on 6 fucking moves that you cared about. But he captivated you. The music hit. Here comes the Warrior. You felt something, right? What MJF said many, many months ago. I don't need to put my life on the line or give you bangers because I make you feel something. That's what MJF said. And I love it because that's That's what the Warrior did back in the day and so many wrestlers. Hulk Hogan was never a good wrestler in terms of skill, in terms of putting together bangers. Hulk Hogan was larger than life and will outpace anybody financially, or most, because he made you feel something. Larger than life. He could go out there, tell you no, hit 3 punches, a clothesline, a big boot, a body slam, a leg drop. You'd go home happier than a pig in shit. Stone Cold. Earlier, Steve Austin was actually pretty good technically. As he became Steve Austin, the injuries racked up. Stone Cold was very limited in his wrestling ability. Do you realize that's the time he became the biggest superstar in his career? One of the biggest superstars we've ever come to know. In fact, the highest rated Raw segments when Stone Cold really became Stone Cold that we knew and loved, it was when he was out with the neck injury. They just had him show up and do crazy shit like fill Vince McMahon's Corvette with cement or ride over the Rock's limousine or Vince McMahon's with a monster truck or come to the ring in a beer truck and give the Authority a beer bath. Crazy shit. Ride up to the ring in a pickup truck, run people over, chase them down. And Stone Cold became larger than life. That's what pro wrestling is. He became one of the biggest stars in pro wrestling, and he didn't even wrestle a match for months. And he kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Not having one match. It doesn't matter. That may seem harsh, or you may not like that because you love your bangers and you like to see how many stars Meltzer's going to give you. But the fact is, how many matches are you going to remember from Penta? And this is not shade. This is harsh reality. How many matches are you truly going to remember from Rey Fenix or Sammy Guevara? And that's somebody I actually enjoy his work so much. But you're not going back to watch the 27-minute banger that it was, to watch all the skilled technical work and all the high-flying aerial assaults. You're not going back in time 10 years from now, 5 years from now. Right now, you're not going back to last month to watch a Guevara match, to watch the skilled wrestling. You're not doing it. And that can leak down to Drew Gulak, Ricochet. You're not going back and watching Ricochet and Drew Gulak matches. You're not doing it to watch how skilled their wrestling was for 27 minutes. But you know how many times I went back and watched an Ultimate Warrior match 1,000 times? Most of his matches. Man, you felt something. So, here we are with one of these scenarios where MJF is in there with somebody who easily can captivate an audience. You just got to give them proper booking. Since Adam Cole has been in AEW, it's no secret. And I'm not even talking about the unfortunate injuries, especially the concussion as of late. But even before that, his booking from the jump, highly questionable. And when I say highly questionable, BC means to the most amplified of measures. I'm being generous. It's been questionable to an amplified level. Nobody understood it. AEW diehard fans were kind of like, I'm still going to defend it because I'm a tribalist to AEW, but could we do a little better? But what about the Owen Hart tournament? What about... No, stop. What are you doing? This is Adam Cole. He was leading NXT. He was the guy in NXT. One of the best NXT champions of all time. And he's just middling in this sea of obscurity. Highly irrelevant. And again, I'm being generous. It's to the most amplified of measures. And then he goes away, and a lot of people are like, man, that sucks. I like Adam Cole. But it didn't affect anything. It literally affected nothing. So now he's in this MJF, and people are instantly reminded, oh yeah, Adam Cole, man, there's something about this dude. Doesn't have to be, nor is he the biggest dude on the block. But this is different than being a big fish in a small pond. This is a small fish that is in a big pond that can become larger than life somehow. Right? Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, there's a lot that were not bigger in stature or size-wise anyway. but they became larger than life to a lot of individuals. They're not the biggest dudes by a landslide, but there's something about them. Daniel Bryan has that, right? I don't like his booking in AEW either, by the way, but that's another story for another podcast. But Adam Cole, man, small fish, big pond, but he can become a much larger fish, larger than life, actually. Man, if he gets the right proper booking, let Adam Cole do the rest. You'll see he can captivate you. So far, we haven't gotten it. This past Wednesday night, we saw a glimmer of it, and MJF is right back to the highest rated segment of the show or between the 1849s anyway. Total viewership did go to the Big Bang Theory lead in Q1. But 18 to 49, it is an important demo, and there's MJF enjoying a top-rated segment again. Adam Cole right there with him. And Britt Baker. Adam Cole is going to save MJF's title run. She did not, bro. And then she put then end it. Smoochy emoji. I love it, bro. Britt Baker, I've always enjoyed her work. It's sad that so many people turned on her with the whole Thunder Rosa shit. I already knew from the jump that was all BS. If you just read the temperature of the locker room, there wasn't many females, if any, that were pleased with Thunder Rosa. It was not just Britt Baker's clique, which is what it was reported as. It could have been Jade Cargill. It could have been Toni Storm. I mean, I'm naming females that have nothing to do with Baker's clique. And everybody had a problem with what was going on with Rosa, let alone how she worked in AEW with several individuals. Evilise can be hard to deal with, I understand. But still, what happened in that ring, at the bare minimum, you have to place at least 50% blame on Thunder Rosa and what happened with her and Evilise live on television with AEW. You can never conduct business that way. She was given another opportunity, and she continued to do it. We all remember infamous matchup with Marina Shafir. Marina needed somebody to really walk her through that. She's still getting her ball bearings. Because a lot of people blamed Marina Shafir for that, right? Oh, she's so green. She made Thunder Rosa look bad. No, Rosa has to take the lead there, and she didn't. She made her look horrible, and unfortunately, that was on purpose. That's just one of those things where Thunder Rosa was going on everybody's podcast, literally going on content creators' podcasts, and saying, what's up? Just seeing what you guys are saying. Then she would go on Busted Open. I think she became like a contributing podcaster on Busted Open and yapping away, telling her side of the story only. I'm the victim. They're all bullying. And when you do that, you start to get annoyed because they're like, oh yeah, man, we're all talking together, man. And Britt Baker's the bad one. No, that was never the case. In fact, Saraya just recently said the problem with Rosa, she just yaps too much and she doesn't take a breath to relax. RELAX. We'll all get along with you. Meet us halfway. The whole locker room, doesn't matter if it was a Jade Cargill, a Toni Storm, Saraya who just got there. A lot of these females had nothing to do with Britt Baker's imaginary clique. It wasn't just Jamie Hayter or a Rebel or anybody else that's involved in some type of clique. It was the locker room that was not happy with what was going on and how Rosa was conducting business even out of the company with the back injury especially. I can't say especially, while she was there too and just conducting business and what she did with Marina Shafir and Evilise on live television. I don't know how you would even still have a job. Congratulations to her. She still does. But Britt Baker, man, whether you like it or not, whether you like her or not, Britt Baker is responsible for some of the best moments for women's wrestling in AEW. And she even took a match with Thunder Rosa, lights out. So it wasn't it was never meant to be a technical classic, but she made that one of the biggest talked about women's matches of all time. And yes, you say, well, that's easy to do, BC, when you're using that many weapons. But still, Britt Baker showed you she's not just a pretty face. She's not there just to be part-time while she does her dentistry as well, which she does, by the way. But she's there to really do this thing full throttle. And she utilizes the same in her promo. She utilizes it on her social. She knows when to hit hardest and how to hit hardest. That's Britt Baker, man. She's always a highlight for BC. One of the first stories that I see when I when I jump into it today, was Britt Baker, and I knew the Bloodline podcast, that had to be booted to later in the day. I had to talk about Britt Baker literally retweeting Brandon Thurston's ratings paragraph, and it's saying, and I quote, with the retweet of Brandon Thurston's ratings talk, Adam Cole is going to save MJF's title run, meaning the only way he's going to get the good ratings again is because of Adam Cole. Other than that, you're a ratings flop. You have become a ratings flop. Dude, MJF, as of right now, as of the recording of this podcast, MJF has not responded. It'll be interesting to see if he jabs back, because that's really fun. I think that could add some good fuel to the fire in a positive way, get people more jazzed up for it. But I thought that was awesome. It's like Brandy Rhodes recently. When Cody Rhodes, Rhea Ripley got in between Cody Rhodes and Dum Dum. And what was that movie? Night at the Museum. Dum Dum. Dum Dum want gum gum. It sounds like she's always saying Dum Dum. Anyway, she gets between Dum Dum and Cody. And Brandy afterwards on social, it's like, he's like, he won't hit that mommy, but this mommy will hit that mommy or some shit. So Brandy's like, I'll get involved. You step in front of him again, I'll hit the ring. Brandy Rose has been on just beautiful lately, man. On her social, she recently with the Saudi Arabia, Cody got this epic response. And a lot of AEW fans were like, for the longest time, like, oh, AEW or Cody Rhodes made such a horrible decision. I bet you he wishes he was back now. Now, I fully agree more than anybody that Sunday night, April 2nd, that was a mega booking botch. Cody absolutely should have won that title. That's not a fan saying, I didn't get my way, he should have won. We know now, because of everything that has happened since, that Cody had to have won that title. It was a booking botch of epic proportions. But a lot of people were taking it too far and going, well, I bet you he wishes he was back at AEW, man. This is catastrophe. And Brandy Rhodes fucking retweeted that video of that response in Saudi Arabia, by the way. And she was like, yeah, and to think, people said he made such a wrong choice. Anyway, Brandy absolutely destroying it. And Britt Baker recently just leveling. I think that was more impactful than anything that was said on Wednesday. And that was a really good back and forth on Wednesday between Adam and MJF. But Britt Baker, bro, fucking A. Adam Cole gonna save MJF's title run. Retweets the ratings that say MJF is finally number one again, 18-49. Guys, that's what I got for you right now. Later on, come back to the channel. You should already have your subscription notification bell on. That'll tell you when the next podcast comes up, so you guys don't even have to do anything. And before I take off, I want to give a big salute to my super thinker. I think this is Ash Stegmeister Steggles, I believe. That super thanks down below. A way to tip the content creator. Throw a coffee at the channel. It's never needed. The fact that you guys do it is absolutely epic. So what I like to do now is at the end of these podcasts, should there be any super thanks, I give the proper acknowledgement and I give a proper salute. And that was indeed, yes, I do have them. Ash Stegmeister Steggles, one of my tried and trues, one of my favorites on the channel. Not that I'm pulling favorites, by the way, but maybe a little bit. Stegmeister says, with a couple of two-spot coffees, in honor of the Iron Sheik, I slapped that jabroni known as the like button in the camel clutch and made that SOB tap out. Stegmeister showing that like button some love. Oh, tough love, because that sumbitch got locked in a camel clutch. And a good point, Stegmeister, man. I want to, again, for the third straight podcast, say salute to Iron Sheik. Family, friends, those that knew him best. Much love, respect, strength your way on behalf of the Amplified unit for the Iron Sheik. Also, Stegmeister says it was Diesel versus Taker at WrestleMania 12 and Sid versus Taker at 13 for the world title. 14 was Austin and HBK, Tyson as ref. Rock Austin at 15. What Stegmeister is talking about is yesterday's podcast. We were talking about all the main events of WrestleMania, and I just find it interesting. I can pretty much, and I think I said all of that, actually. I think I said exactly that. So I can, top of my dome piece, from WrestleMania 1 to about 15, I can name off every single main event. And after that, for some reason, I totally just, I don't know. 16 on is like a blur. It's like Super Bowls. 1 to 25, I can name every Super Bowl. 26 on, it's a fog to me. So I don't know. Maybe I started doing extracurricular activities around that time. I don't know, man. But in fact, Stegmeister, I appreciate it big time. The channel member of the week, Christopher Blackshear, gold card member of the week. Salute to Christopher, one of my tried and trues on the channel. Auto generator landed on Christopher, and I couldn't be more happier to see one of my tried and trues get it yet again. Christopher Blackshear was awesome, dude. He said, Christopher Blackshear left a comment in yesterday's podcast, and he named off every single WrestleMania main event 1 to 39. Now, if that wasn't awesome enough, he put Pinocchio every time H was in a main event, bro. Christopher, if you made it this far in, bro, salute. Honestly, that was the best, bro, because I was actually reading through it, and I just see, where was the first Pinocchio? The first Pinocchio was 18, WrestleMania 18, Jericho versus Pinocchio. And then we went into 21, Pinocchio versus Batista. 22, Cena versus Pinocchio. 25, Pinocchio versus Orton. 32, Pinocchio versus Reigns. And I think that was all the Pinocchios. Of course, we're talking about Schnoz McGee, Pinocchio Pussface, Paul Levesque. You know, the lying son of a bitch that he is. Everything that spews out of his mouth. Half of it doesn't make sense. The other half is absolute lie. Christopher and Stegmeister, you guys are the best. I appreciate you guys big time, man. Guys, that's going to do it for now. Until next time, and there will be a next time. In fact, probably a few hours from when you're getting this podcast. Just wait a few hours, and there's going to be another one well before SmackDown tonight, and we're going to talk about the Bloodline. I may have what many consider a hot take. I may shock you with what I'm about to say, but there's only one way tonight can go down with the Bloodline, and BC's going to explain, talk, discuss all about it. That's it. Top guy, I'm out. BC. Saying, check you.